Believe it or not, we're upping the ante now because Jake is standing by, and I think you've got somebody people have heard of, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. Big things happening up here. He's one of the biggest stars on the planet, gives one of the best performances of his career in his new movie, Academy Award. Mark, what do you... No, not yet. No, go, Mark, out of the shot. No, not yet.
Dude, I came all the way here to see you.
We'll talk in a second. Good Lord. We'll be right back. Studio 32, Mark Wahlberg's live with us. We'll be right back.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Academy Award nominee Mark Wahlberg gives one of the best performances of his career in the powerful true story. It's called Father Stu, the story of a man who leaves behind a life of fighting, drinking, and amateur acting to devote himself to his dream of being a priest. And here to talk with me live, not via Zoom, not via satellite, my friend Mark Wahlberg.
How are you, buddy?
Good to see you, my man. Last time you and I spoke, you said we got to come to Chicago and get the gang back together. I didn't know you actually meant you were going to come to Chicago and get the gang back together.
Here we are.
I want to spend this time talking about the film because your performance is phenomenal. As great as this movie is, the only thing that sort of holds me back is I wish Stuart Long were still with us to be able to watch the film. Obviously, we lost him a few years back. I was wondering if you could imagine sitting in the movie theater with him, watching this film, and when it's over, lean over and go, what did you think about how we did this? What would you love to pick his brain about?
Well, I tell you, we wanted to just capture his essence, obviously. You know, it's one of those things where he was still very much with me in my prayer time every day and preparing for the film, leading up to it and during the process of making the film. I was always praying for his intercession and for God's intercession. And I had a picture of him on the cover of my screenplay that I studied every day. You know, when you have a photo on the wall or something that's just always looking at you?
Yeah.
He was always glaring down at me, and he had very, very high expectations because he was so committed and devoted to serving God, and he wanted that to shine through in the film. And his crowning achievement and his legacy is about what he did as a priest in the very short time that he was one.
You know, for him, his watershed moment was getting in this motorcycle accident. He was leading one life, he gets in this accident and decides he's going a different direction.
Yeah.
You're a man who found faith a little bit later in life. Did you have a watershed? Was there one moment where you sort of went, I got to get my stuff together, man?
I had a few moments, but certainly I seen the disappointment in my parents' eyes when I got into trouble. You know, when my mom didn't have a car, didn't have any money, would have to come and get me or bail me out. Those were moments that really, you know, opened my eyes and said, you know, I have to turn my life around. And as soon as I turned my life around and started focusing on my faith, and I know I've said this in the past, great things started to happen. So I really wanted to make this movie to then take time off the talents and gifts that I've been given and all the success that I've had to use that platform to do God's work.
You know, we all have just been talking about your incredible filmography, your collection of films, all of your amazing roles. How much does your faith weigh in terms of deciding which movies you're going to do and not do? Has there been a moment where your faith has helped you decide not to do something?
No, and I've always said and joked that I hope God is a movie fan, you know, and that he, you know, that movies like Boogie Nights or Ted or films like that.
God is a massive Ted fan.
I try not to compromise my artistic integrity and what I want to do, but I do also have a tendency to gravitate towards true stories and things that can make a positive impact on people's lives are things that I want to do a lot more of. So with this movie in particular, you know, we've screened the movie for so many people, and every single person has related to or identified with this movie for some sort of reason. And, you know, obviously we're living in unprecedented times. Everybody's dealing with a lot of uncertainty. And this is giving people hope and faith again. And so, and it's not just for people who believe in God. It's people who need a reminder that, you know, people are loved and people can redeem themselves and nobody's giving up on anybody.
You know, one of my favorite sort of subplots in the film is one of the reasons he ends up attending church in the first place is to impress a girl. We've all done something where we go, yeah, it was for a girl. Right. You and your wife have been happily married for years now. What's the craziest thing you did to impress her?
I wouldn't say it was the craziest thing, but it was probably one of the smarter things. We met in New York City at night, and I asked her if we had hung out with some mutual friends who were introduced us, and I said, you know, we should go out tomorrow. And she's like, where do you want to go? I said, well, let's go to church. And I was doing a junket for a film.
Yep, I was probably there.
And I had an hour break. So I took her to St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York, and that made a good impression.
Wow.
I made some bad impressions after that. Of course, nobody is perfect, and, you know, we're still kind of, you know, trying to better ourselves every day. as you know, but that made a good first impression.
So where are we going whenever you're done with this junket? Now that people you're trying to win over, who are the people? Where are you and I heading?
We're going to Dallas if you want to come.
I got some Texas roots, man.
We can take you to Dallas, but I got to continue to go on this journey for this film because this is a very important film, and we need people to really see it and see it together with an audience in the theater.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I want to drive home, we're about to go to break, is that, even before we start doing these things via Zoom, a lot of times I would come to you in LA. It's rare for an actor to literally tour the country like a rock star, and it's a sign of how much this movie means to you.
Yeah, no, this is by far the most important film that I've done, and this has been the film that's had the most impact on people that have seen it. I mean, it's amazing to say, I met with a journalist yesterday, and he came to me after, and I said, everybody's going to respond to this movie, and I want to hear your reaction to it. And he goes, oh my God, I haven't talked to my dad in such a long time. And the first thing I did when I came out of the movie theater was call my dad and just told him I loved him, and he called me right back, and we spoke, and he hadn't spoken in years. So
is that it? Is that like, as an actor, is that like, okay,
absolutely,
stop,
and it's helping people deal with the inevitable. People dealing with loss and mortality, and everybody knows somebody who has either lost their loved ones or their business or their livelihood because of COVID. I mean, we're living in very, very unprecedented times right now, and so people need to be reminded to have hope and have faith, and that everything happens for a reason. And there's lots of good to come. And
they're going to see it whenever they see the film. You can see Father Stu Easter. We got a couple of weeks, but it's worth your time. We're going to talk more with Mark Wahlberg about his incredible career whenever we come back. One of the greatest lines in the history of film. We are back live with Oscar-nominated actor Mark Wahlberg. His powerful new film, Father Stu, hits theaters this Easter. But man, I wanted you to stick around because I wanted to talk about your incredible career. This year is the 15th anniversary of you getting the Oscar nomination for The Departed.
Wow.
And I'm just sort of curious what you learned from Scorsese, what you learned from that cast, Alec and Jack and Leo and Matt, that maybe you still work with today.
It's one of those things where, take the time to do your thing, but that was, we were in my backyard. It was my wheelhouse. It was the first time Marty had made a movie in Boston about kind of Boston cops and criminals, and so I felt very, very comfortable, and he gave me free rein to improvise and to go after those guys.
Was that line improv?
No, that particular line was not improvised. I would give that credit to the wonderful Bill Monahan. But I've got to really kind of come up with lots of cool stuff in the movie, and it was he was the only guy who was not a good guy, but he was willing to do the right thing at the end of the movie, so it's fun.
Do you remember that morning? Because I remember that Oscar morning, we kind of thought all of you guys were going to get the acting nominations. Obviously, you did very well at the Oscars, but we thought Leo was, Jack was, we thought you were, and then you were the sole Oscar nominee for The Departed. Do you remember that morning, and were you shocked by that?
Well, it's one of those things where you got nominated for the Globe but didn't get nominated for the SAG Awards. You didn't know if it was going to happen or not. And Sarah, who's here, called me and woke me up. And then the best part about it was I was able to call my mom and especially my dad.
Yeah.
My dad was very excited. He was never really impressed. I certainly wasn't impressed with the rap career or the underwear modeling. He was happy that I became an actor because he introduced me to film and my love of film. But, he was never impressed with the big paychecks, but when I was finally nominated, it was a big deal to him. So.
Well, I want to go on that because there's a great moment in Father Stu where you're talking with Jackie Weaver, the great actress who plays your mom, and you tell her that you want to be an actor, and she kind of goes, no, you can't be an actor. You can't do this. What was the moment in your career? Was it the rap career? Was it the modeling? Was it where people most went, dude, you can't do that. You don't have what it takes to do that.
It was definitely the acting, because obviously my brother had early success in the music, and I had dabbled with them, and then I kind of left to do my own thing, and then came back and had success in the music. But when I definitely, because of the persona that I created in music, when I said I wanted to be an actor, people would chuckle, and definitely nobody took me seriously, which I think also gave me an advantage because the expectations were so low that I was just like, okay, let me just kind of find one part at a time and chip away, and I was in it for the long haul for sure, but I had the great Penny Marshall to kind of not only mentor me, but also be she stayed with me throughout the process. We maintained a very close friendship and a bond where she was mentoring me in a way behind the scenes for a very long time. So to have her in my corner, as well as many other people, but her especially, I was very fortunate.
And then this year is the 25th anniversary of Boogie Nights, which you and I were talking about a few weeks ago, and that's sort of the movie where whoever doubted you because of modeling, whoever doubted you because of rap, looks at Boogie Nights, looks at your work with Burt, looks at your work with Paul Thomas Anderson, Philip Seymour Hoffman, and goes, oh, we can't doubt him anymore. We can't do that. Did you feel that shift in your career during that moment?
Well, yeah, then the expectations became so high, you
Yeah.
know, but it was like one of those things where I was just, you know, really trying to work with great filmmakers and great talent and learn.
Yeah.
You know, I was really a student of the game from a very early age. And, you know, I still have that approach and that attitude, even though I find myself being the elder statesman in certain movies like, you know, I did with Tom Holland in Uncharted. But, you know, I've been very fortunate to work with a lot of really talented people and learn a lot from them.
And because of that, you're the kind of actor that whenever I tell someone, oh, I'm interviewing him, I could tell 100 people and they're going to give me 100 different titles to talk to you about. What is the project people come up to you on the street and most shout at you from across the street or want to talk to you about?
You know, it depends. I mean, there's so many, but Shooter seems to be high on a lot of people's
Bill
lists.
Bozen loves Shooter. We were talking about it this morning.
It's one of those things where in the movie, we always thought we made a great movie.
Yeah.
The movie came out. They didn't really market it well. 300 had come out at the same time, which was a big kind of novelty hit. And so it was one of those things where people didn't realize or discover it until pay TV or DVD, and then it performed on those platforms like a major blockbuster. And so the studio's like, oh my God, we messed up. And by that time they were like, oh, we could revisit it because there was multiple books, but I was already kind of off to the next thing.
Yeah.
But people still talk about that. I was hanging out with Jimmy Butler, who I met here in Chicago, and Karan Butler in Miami the other night, and we were talking about Father Stu. And they started talking about their other favorite movie that has to be up there with it, which was Shooter.
Wow.
And I was like, really, Shooter? Out of all the ones, I mean, you think about all the other movies, Lone Survivor, Fighter, you know, there's so many other ones, Perfect Storm, Three Kings.
Oh my God. See, we could do this all day.
The Yards. You know, We Own the Night, but it's just a movie that, you know, they always talk about.
Dude, well, it's because it's a great movie. They're giving me the rap. I did the math, man. First time you and I ever spoke, I was 18 years old. I'm 34 now, which means that we've been talking for 16 years.
Yeah.
Almost half of my life, you and I have known each other. And I just wanted to say on live TV, you've gone out of your way. You've gotten me invited to every one of your junkets. You give me an interview for every. I don't think I've ever asked you for an interview and you've ever said no. Sarah's a big part of that as well. So I just want to say, man, dude, I appreciate it.
And then you literally kicked me off the intro, which was, how do you do that?
My
See what
segment's
happens?
called Jake's
15
Takes.
years in
It's
the
called
game,
Jake's
and now
Takes.
the ego is out of control.
It's not Mark's takes. It's
That's
Jake's
what happens,
takes.
huh?
Well,
No.
you're-
Proud of you, buddy.
Love you,
Congrats
buddy.
on all your success.
Appreciate you, man. You too. You too.
You, man.
All right, guys. 9 o'clock hour of Good Day Chicago rolls on. You want to toss it to break? You want to read that?
Yeah, much more to come on Good Day Chicago at 9 o'clock.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Yeah, not quite as energetic as this guy, but I've already given 2
I was
hours
like, yeah,
in the
you're
gym.
so.
Yeah.
Good to see you, buddy.
Thank you, brother.
Love you, man.
Appreciate it. Pleasure.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.